Have you ever failed so bad that you had just a severe meltdown in your car? Yeah, me too. And thankfully, out of that came something incredibly amazing. Here's what happened. Hi, my name is Jason Romero. I'm a UX UI designer, and this is my story on how I ended up in the design field. And it was initially not fun at all. Like many people in the design field, design was probably not their primary role, and it definitely wasn't for me. See, I've been a school psychologist for the last 12 years, and it's been a great career. I've had a great time as a school psychologist serving children, families, staff, and it's just been great. And so, however, there was a time when I wanted to go into private practice and open up my own school psychology office and work on my own and have that as a side business. And for me, that seemed like a very simple, fluid process. However, it wasn't, unfortunately, and I found myself studying for this exam to be able to open up a private practice, and the exam was pretty difficult to practice for. And throughout the process, I thought, okay, cool, like I know I'm gonna nail this exam. I'm studying a whole lot for it. I've been a school psychologist for X amount of time at that point, and so I probably should start building a website. And so I ended up finding WordPress, thank you to Pat Flynn, and I went down the WordPress route and built this simple themed layout with a blog implemented in it, and it worked. At the time, I think it was jasonromero.org, and it's not active right now. I'm so glad it's not. Same time, I would love to compare it, but I built this simple site, and it was just functional. It was great, and I was ready. I was ready to open up my own practice. I was ready to take on the role of a entrepreneur in the school psychology realm. But there was one thing in the way: the exam. So I studied for this exam, and I ended up the night before. I could not sleep whatsoever, tossing and turning. Tried to sleep in the couch. That wasn't working, and I was just so nervous. I didn't sleep well the night before, and it just didn't go well. And so next day came, the exam was difficult. I know I nailed the law and ethics side of things, and everything else, it just kind of just went off the rails. I don't know what happened. I took too much time on certain items, and just got lost in just worrying about the time, and I ended up just failing. Like, I knew before I even exited the room that I failed, and it just sucked. It was horrible. And so I left the office. I got into my car and just had a meltdown. I had an adult meltdown, and I remember calling my wife and letting her know, like, hey, just took this, not doing well. I know I bombed it. It sucked. So needless to say, I started my car up and I went home. So weeks after the exam, I didn't know what to do with my website. I had built this thing thinking, I would be a, licensed educational psychologist, and I would have this blog for people to come in. I would have this contact page. And now that I failed, I had the option to retake the exam or not retake it. And for me, I had lost the momentum to go down that route. It was a route that I could take and I would know the result. However, it just, after failing it, it just changed the way I viewed, my desire to go into the field to that extent. And so for me, it just didn't seem something that I wanted to do, and what was interesting, I really enjoyed the process of building the website, of building something from, it was a theme, so not technically from scratch, but building something that had a purpose, like a website. So for me, I thought it was great. There was also a problem with that. The design was horrible, and so I didn't know what to do about that. Thankfully, throughout this process, I started seeing uh, ads for Bethel Tech's UX UI program, and I was intrigued. I thought, this could be definitely an opportunity for me to better my design skills. At the time, my wife and I were trying to get out of debt, and so making sure that I was able to fund this was going to be difficult. So for us, it was a lot of communication to whether or not that was even a possibility. So my wife and I kept seeing these ads on Bethel's programs, and it was I just kept going back to, I enjoyed building the website. I enjoyed the thought of being able to improve my design skills, and it was, for me, intriguing. Now, I've been playing drums my whole life. Ever since I was in fifth grade, I was in band class, and then up until my freshman year, my parents actually got me a drum set. So I've been playing a drum set for many years, since I was 14 years old. Currently, that's a long time for me. So it's wild to realize how long I've actually been playing drums. But this whole time I've hung out with creatives. I've been creating music for years now, and it's just been such a blessing to have that and embrace that. But for me, I never truly embraced it, to be honest. I never thought of myself as a creative, because I took this route of, you go to grad school, you graduate, you find your career, and then you stick in your career for X amount of years. And so the creative path was just never a thought. So looking back, I've always been around creatives, and that has challenged me to get better at my craft, at playing music. And so those two worlds of like wanting to get into design and then also having this creativity background meshed and blended together really well. So it was great for my wife and I to have these conversations of whether or not to jump into a program while we're trying to chop down debt. And from her perspective, what she told me is like, Jay, I trust you. Like, I want to encourage you because I believe in you. And so to hear that from her was just a huge blessing. And so I took that and I enrolled in the Bethel Tech UX UI program, and it was a game changer, and I absolutely loved it. So at Bethel Tech's UX UI program, I learned so much. It was 9 months of just jumping into the whole UX UI world, and to me it was just a whole lot of information at once, but I had such a blast doing that. So I learned the principles of the design UX process, UI, Figma, all things Adobe, and then as well as Webflow, which was a huge challenge. And part of Bethel Tech's program was the spiritual component. So me as a Christian, that was very important for me, and it's what stood out amongst many of the boot camps that I was looking at. So I wanted a place to not just improve in my design skills, but also improve in my spirituality. And I just fell in love with the program. It was very helpful and very encouraging. Another aspect of the program was being able to surround myself with other like-minded individuals, but also to other designers that were ahead of me, that were also starting out, professors that were just great at what they did and that were currently working on projects. And so they would always challenge us to level up our skills, and for me that was totally new because I'd never entered anything like that before. So being able to be challenged by these awesome designers was such a blessing to me. Very humbling as well. So I was thankful for it. One encouraging moment that I had when reviewing I believe it was an app, a homepage app that I had built. One of the instructors reviewed it, and his feedback was, "You're natural." And that to me was such a blessing, because it to be able to be reviewed in a new field where you know you're not uh, even mid-level. Like it was just so humbling. So to hear that was just so fun. It's so encouraging to hear that, and that gave me a little motivation to keep going and to get better at my craft. And it helped me also to realize like I'm on a good path. Like this is a good route for me, and it's different, and I have no clue where it's gonna lead me, but it was good, and I was okay with that. What excites me the most about UX UI design is being able to build a product that's functional, that's clear, and that's creative. That to me, like it's the ability to provide someone a product that they know is going to flow well, that it's going to provide them with the results that they want, and that it's not frustrating to work with, and it happens to look really cool. So that to me is such a fun perspective for UX UI that I have, and I've just been enjoying that process and trying to perfect it, and to learn from my past builds, and it's just been such a journey. Really, it's not like the educational realm where you acquire this credential, then you go on to this career, and then you live out that career. It's very fluid, and I look at design work now as more of a marathon path that I'm on. I'm not um, just sprinting to the next step. To the next step is just a very fluid marathon that I'm running, and there's always going to be someone way better than me, and I get to learn from them, and that's the beauty of this. I mean, I think the design community is very welcoming, and I get to learn from other incredibly talented people and perfect my skills and enjoy the process. And that's what's been really encouraging in this field, to be challenged, but into a positive perspective. It's not demeaning whatsoever. If you're exploring or contemplating the idea of becoming a UX UI designer, let me know if you have any questions, or send a comment down below and let me know how your process is going. But it's an amazing field. I love being in the UX UI design field. And again, like I said, it's challenging, but it's very rewarding. And my perspective is now it's a marathon, and it's okay if I'm not the best designer today. Thankfully, I get to learn from the best, and I get to learn how to improve my skills in this process. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I'm thankful to see you in the next video.